Good morning everyone. My name is Yash Gupta. I am from Electronics Engineering. My faculty number is 18 ELP402 and serial number is 46. I am going to present the three topics of Electrical Engineering course. So let's begin. The first topic is torque slip characteristics of a three-phase induction motor. It is the curve drawn between the torque and slip starting from S equal to 0 to S equal to 1. This is termed as torque slip characteristics of a three-phase induction motor. It is basically a curve drawn between torque and slip, torque being at y-axis, s at x-axis, where we vary slip from 0 to 1, and we have to trace a curve how the torque varies between this region. As we know that the torque equation is given by 180 upon 2 pi ns SE2 square into R2 upon R2 square plus SX2 square. This term is constant, we can write it as K, and we are left with tau is proportional to SR2 upon R2 square upon XX2 square. This curve is broadly divided into two regions, lower value of slip and higher value of slip. For lower value, R2 is much greater than SX2, so we can neglect SX2, and we are left with S by R2. Torque is directly proportional to S by R2. Since R2 is constant, so we are left with only torque is directly proportional to S. For lower values of slip, it is of the form of y equal to mx, which means the nature will be straight line. For higher values of slip, sx2 is greater than r2, so we can neglect r2, and we are left with r2 upon sx2 whole square. Since r2 upon sx2 is constant, as we are not varying the rotor resistance and reactance, so torque is inversely proportional to 1 by s. For higher values of slip, it is of the form of rectangular hyperbola, so its nature will be hyperbolic. Now let's see its curve. It is a TS curve, you can see. Torque being at y-axis, S at x-axis. The slip is varying from 0 to 1. This curve is divided into two regions. For lower values of slip, it is a straight line, and for higher values of slip, it is a rectangular hyperbola, you can see. For lower values of slip, it is a straight line and it is a stable region. Why it is stable? Because as we increase load, speed is decreased. We know that when we increase load, speed is decreased. Speed and slip are inversely proportional. Since speed is decreasing, S will be increased. As for lower values, S is directly proportional to S torque. So when we increase S, torque will be increasing. This is a stable condition. While for higher values of slip, when the load is increased, speed is decreased. Since speed is decreased, the slip will be increased and torque will be decreased, since torque is inversely proportional to slip for higher values. So it is an unstable condition. You can see this hyperbolic region is unstable and this linear region is stable. In this graph, there are different terms. It ends at this point when s equal to 1, where the speed becomes 0. This is known as starting or standstill condition. What is starting? Torque starting. The motor produces torque when s equal to 1 or the speed is 0. This is termed as torque starting. And torque full load, it is the any point in the linear region where the motor operates. It is termed as torque full load. It is lesser than maximum load, and this is tau max. Tau max is a maximum torque or pull out torque when this condition is achieved at when the slip is maximum. For a slip maximum, R2 equal to Sm equal to R2 upon X2, slip corresponding to maximum torque. Here we observe that as we are increasing the rotor resistance, it is for R1 this first curve, the second curve is for R2, and so on. We observe that the tau max does not change as we increase the rotor resistance. This is because it is a independent of rotor resistance. It only depends upon E2 upon x2, that is voltage and reactance. It does not depend upon rotor resistance. So if we keep on increasing rotor resistance, tau max will be constant. Now let's go to next slide. Next topic. This is effect of resistance on induction motor speed. This method of speed control is only applicable for three-phase slip ring induction motor, not for cage type. Now let's discuss what is the difference between slip ring and cage type induction motor. For slip ring, the rotor of a motor is constructed as a slip ring type, and for squirrel cage, it is of squirrel cage type. For slip ring, rotor is cylindrical laminated, whereas in a squirrel cage, the rotor are not parallel but are skewed. Construction is complicated in slip ring, while in cage type it is simple. Resistance, we can add or subtract the resistance to the rotor, but in squirrel cage it is the resistance is permanently fixed. That this line means the same thing. In slip ring induction motor, we can vary rotor resistance according to our convenience to control motor speed, but in cage type rotor resistance is fixed. In a slip motor starter, the rotor starter can be used, but in squirrel cage rotor resistance starter cannot be used. Starting torque is high for the slip ring. You can see this is a starting torque. It is higher than squirrel cage type. Brushes are present here, brushes are absent here, and copper losses are high in the case of slip ring, and in case of squirrel cage copper losses are very low. Efficiency is low in case of slip ring induction type motor, because as we increase resistance, the losses will be also increase and reduces the motor efficiency. Speed control possible for this slip ring induction motor, well it is not possible for the case of squirrel tail. This we will be discussing in this topic, how in slip ring motor how the speed we can control speed while varying the resistance. You can see in this graph that graph is made between torque and speed, how the torque varies when we increase speed. This is for I have drawn the graph for two resistance R22 and R21. R22 is greater than R21, and and I have drawn the load curve, and the intersection point gives the speed, and observe that NR2 is lesser than NR1, which means for higher resistance the speed is lower, which means the speed is inversely proportional to resistance, rotor resistance. Or we can say when we increase the rotor resistance, speed is decreased, or when we increase the speed, the rotor resistance will decrease. Now let's discuss the another topic, equivalent circuit of an induction motor machine. The equivalent circuit of an induction motor is similar to of transformer, as we know that both uses the principle termed as mutual induction. The only difference is that in place of primary and secondary winding in motor, there is a starter and rotor. To draw the equivalent circuit of induction motor, we draw the circuit of stator and rotor and combine them to get a equivalent circuit of induction motor. So we draw the rotor and starter circuit separately and combine them, so we can get the equivalent circuit of a full three-phase induction motor. We know the current flowing through a rotor is equal to SE2 upon R2 square plus SX2 whole square under root. It can be further simplified in this by dividing by S in the numerator and denominator, and we can write R2 by S in this form, R2 plus R2 1 by S minus 1. This R2 is a rotor copper loss resistance, and this is a mechanical power developed PM, which is equal to I2 square R into this resistance. The current flowing through rotor into this resistance is termed as mechanical power. Since R2 by S is variable, as we are increasing the or decreasing the speed, S is variable, so this resistance is variable. So we observe the equivalent circuit of rotor. Here the resistance and inductance and this is the variable resistance. Now let's draw the equivalent circuit of a starter. The starter circuit model of a induction motor consists of starter phase winding resistance R1 and starter phase winding leakage reactance X1 as shown in the diagram below. The no load current I0 is simulated by a pure inductive reactance X0, taking the magnetizing component I mu and non-inductive resistance R0, carrying the core loss current. You can see I0 is divided into two parts, IC and I mu, where IC is core loss component and I mu is magnetic component. When V1 is supplied to the starter and motor supplies no power, then the input is equal to a stator loss only. In case of generator, the total magnetizing current is considerably larger than in case of induction motor as compared to that of transformer. This is because of higher reluctance caused by the air gap of the induction motor. As we know that in transformer, no load current varies from 2 to 5% of a rated current, whereas in induction motor the no load current is about 25 to 40% of the rated current depending upon the size of the motor. It means that when we can neglect this stringent parameter in transformer for the simplification of equivalent circuit, but in case of motor, induction motor, we cannot neglect this parameter because it's of 25 to 40% of the total full load current. So we have to make it in when we are drawing the equivalent circuit. It can as we know that R0 value of R0 is very small, so we can neglect in its drawing in the equivalent circuit, and we are left with only X0. In the second half you can see R2 dash and X2 dash is written. This means when we are transferring the secondary to primary, it is divided by the factor of k square, where k is n2 by n1. N2 is the number of turns per phase in the rotor and n1 is number of turns in the starter. So this is the equivalent circuit of a three-phase induction motor, and further more simplified is this. This is all from my side. Thank you very much for watching.